Hello, children. I want to tell you a story. This is a story that I wrote a book about for children. It's called The Fox and the Building Blocks, and it was taken from the old philosophy period or philosophers period, and he he was called. Now, let me slow down. I'm going too fast. Aesop. And the stories were Aesop's fables. And it involved a lot of stories about the fox and the fox in the well, the fox and the goose, and stories like that. So I made up a story of the fox interacting with the children, and I called it The Fox and the Building Blocks. Well, back then, it was around the first century, where the fox was considered a very highly smart animal by the philosophers. And there's two kind of theories that have developed. One was Aesop was a philosopher, and he made up little homilies that excuse me, that he would tell stories to the other people. Well, the other one was Aesop was a slave to a philosopher, and he would regale the philosophers like Homer and other philosophers with these little homilies. And so I made up a story about the fox and the building blocks. All right, here it goes. This is uh, produced and written and told by GUM. GUM is an acronym. It's a three-letter word, and each letter has a different title. G stands for great. 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 U stands for uncle. Uncle. Great uncle. M stands for Myron. 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 Great Uncle Myron. I use that for story time when I'm reading a story or I'm telling a story. Right now, I'm going to go to the story by memory. Uh, uh, I wrote this a book a long time ago, but I had them produced at my own out-of-pocket funds, and I gave them all away. And I even donated one to the library, but I haven't been able to reproduce any more. So I'm going to tell it to you the way I remember it. Now, this story was told to a postman named Myron. And he would always, after his route delivering mail, he would go out through the woods and enjoy the cool air in the woods. And he would sit down by a tree that he carved his name on and take his shoes off, and he would just sit there and enjoy the cool breeze on his feet. Well, this one day he was very, very tired, so he went to sleep. Well, he was startled awake by what it seemed like somebody talking, and he looked around, and there was no one there. And he thought to himself, oh man, don't tell me I'm going down this stupid rabbit hole. So he got an answer, and the answer looked like it was coming from above. Well, it was, and it was from an elf that lived in the woods. I don't know. Usually elves are, Santa's helpers. So I don't know. Maybe he run away from home or something. Anyway, he still had his magic powers so that he could talk to Myron. And he was telling Myron uh, uh, why, he was there living in the woods. And he just happened to mention that a fox, being a real smart animal, uh, helped him find a place, a tree, uh, high enough to where, you know, um, other wild animals couldn't get to it. So just as he mentioned the fox, this fox showed up. And he he kind of noticed me, but he kind of ignored me because he wanted to talk to the elf. And believe it or not, I couldn't believe I was listening to this. So uh, the elf says, "Oh, what do you want this time? I think I've helped you enough in gratitude for you helping me." Well, the fox says, "I just need one more favor." And he said, "Okay, well, all right, just one more time." So the fox says, "I need you to give me a voice so that I can talk to humans." Oh my gosh. The elf says, "Listen, you know that I run away and didn't want any more to do with humans. They're nothing but trouble for us. And they're always looking for us. They're always trying to trap us. They're always trying to find Santa Claus." And so I ran away. I didn't have anything to do with it. Anyway, the fox says, "No, no, no, it's not like that." And he explained uh, one morning, of course, the elf already knew that the fox was always trying to raid the farmer's hen house. So the fox was telling the elf, "Well, I was trying to get in the hen house one morning, but the farmer scared me off." Now, usually, uh, he would just yell, "I know that's you out there, you better." But this one morning, he brought out a shotgun and he fired that shotgun at me. Of course, he missed, and I had to run away. So I finally uh, figured that he may be hunting me, so I took a different route, and I finally wound up in my little foxhole. And I was brooding, and I was really upset. This is the fox talking to the elf. So now I'm listening. So the elf says, "Well, then what?" Well, he says, "I sit there, thinking about things until the early morning." So come around 6 o'clock in the morning, it was daylight, And the farmer was out there with his tractor, uh, getting ready to plant the corn. And so I figured, well, I would somehow I would disable his tractor, so he would be so distracted working on his tractor that I could go up there and get a chicken or something, maybe even a couple eggs before he finished working on his tractor. So the guy says, well, what'd you do? Well, he said, I went to the dump and I found this old cable wire. So I wrapped that cable wire around the rock in my foxhole, and I run it across the furrows to the other side of the fields the next evening, so that when he came out, the farmer would, you know, get his wheels stuck on that cable. Well, the farmer came out as he always did, and I'm waiting there. Fox still telling the story. I'm waiting there, and would you know when he went over that wire, it totally pulled that rock right out of its hole. And of course, it was a rock that the former fox had used to build his foxhole on. And so he pulled that rock right out of that foxhole of mine, and the full foxhole caved in on me. And I was lucky enough to get out of there and come over. Uh, so the other says, well, why do you want to speak? The farmer's not going to listen to you. Well, the fox says, I know, but what what I want to do is I know where the kids get on the bus, and what I want to do is I want to go over there and I want to tell the kids that his dad's going to make me a new foxhole. And so the elf says, okay, now I'll give you something. I'll give you a voice long enough so that you can tell them what you want. So the fox says, okay, and the elf just waved his hand a little bit, and in about 10 seconds, the fox clearing his throat, and the fox says, "Why do you have to give me a phone so high?" And the elf said, "Listen, I got to work with what I can." So the fox says, "Okay, okay, I'll get away." And uh, don't listen to this guy. He's always chasing me away too. So uh, you know, I jumped up and put my shoes on, and I was ready to chase that fox. But the elf says, "Wait, wait, you know, don't worry about it. I'm going to follow him and see what he does." So the next day, uh, the fox is waiting in the bushes for where the bus stops and lets the kids off, near their farmhouse. So the kids are, getting off the bus, and running home. And the last two kids were the farmer's children because they had trouble loading their backpacks, their book packs or backpacks, whatever you call them. And when they got off the bus, the fox come out of the bushes and say, "Hey, you children, wait up." And of course, that startled the kids where they turned around and they started to run, but they dropped their backpacks. So they stopped and turned around, and the fox says, "Listen, you have to tell your father that he destroyed my foxhole. And you tell your farmer father that I want him to build me a new foxhole, or I won't let you get your backpacks. I'm holding your backpacks hostage until you tell your dad to build me a new foxhole." And so that was the end of it. So the kids, turned around crying, and they were really upset. So I named him after me. Myron was the young man, and Doris was a sister. So it was Myron and Doris. So they're going home and they're crying. And the Alpha's relating the story to me when he got back from following the fox. So he said that, they were talking about what they were going to do, tell their dad, because the dad's not going to believe him that the fox are talking to him, let alone tell him that the fox wanted to make him a new foxhole. So they don't know what to do. Anyway, the fox come back, and he's got the backpacks with him, and he says, "Great, that's really great. Now I got something to bargain with. I got something that, they want." So the elf says, "Well, his dad can just buy him new books because he's heard everything from the kids of why, they were late for school or why they skipped school, to go swimming or, go fishing and stuff. Instead of going to school, the dad has heard about everything. And this would just be a new one that the fox talked to him." So the fox says, "No, these are important to the kids because," and now this is a lesson for the parents, because it's a teaching moment for the parents, because early that winter, the mom got pneumonia, and she didn't survive pneumonia because it was a really hard winter. And before that, when they started school, the mom made them made them bracelets with a lock of hair in the bracelets, and they only wore the bracelets when they got home, because the other kids saw the bracelets and they wanted to take them away from them, so they kept them in their backpack while they were in school. So the fox says, "That's why, they'll do what I told them to." Well, the owl says, "All right." So I said, "Well, is there anything I can do?" And the owl says, "No, I'm going to go over to the farmer's house and see if there's anything I can do, or use my magic powers or something." So anyway, he waved his hand again, and he 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 made it so that I wouldn't startle the fox, and he kind of made it real safe. When the fox started uh, pulling the backpacks and trying to get the zippers open and stuff. So the elf went to the farmer's house to see what they came up with. Anyway, uh, it was really a fascinating thing what they decided to do. They took the building blocks that they had they used for letters to write on their slates, and they filled up the cardboard box with the building blocks, and they started out toward the woods where the fox was, and so of course the elf hurried back, and he gave the fox more safety feeling, or he wasn't concerned about anything about getting distracted about trying to get the books out of those backpacks. When they got there, they crept up on him, and they dumped that whole box of building blocks on top of the fox, and he scared stiff, and he jumped and he ran, and the kids yelled at him, "Hey, you build your own foxhole!" Of course, he never did. The fox ran off, and they never heard of him again, and he never bothered the hen house again. He never bothered the farmer again. Anyway, that's the end of the story. Myron Kent, King's House of Faith, number 68, one evangelist at gmail.com. Sorry about the coffee.